Today's Eagles Now is presented by Manscaped. Get 20% off on the best men's grooming products at manscaped.com/chat. And coming up, we're going to tell you about the brand new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. It'll send your balls to outer space because it is out of this world. We'll put that link down below in the comment section and in the description of this video. We kick off our mailbag today hearing from the best fans in sports and, of course, the best subscribers on YouTube with AS. AS, not a big Brian Johnson fan, said that Nick Sirianni needs to run the offense. Now, I understand why a lot of people are very frustrated with Brian Johnson. This is an Eagles offense that's got off to a little bit of a slow start. They've especially struggled at points in the red zone. But when you actually take a look at what the Eagles have done as an offense this year, they've been a lot better than what people actually realize. They're still a top 5 overall offense in the National Football League. And I'm pulling up some numbers here because red zone efficiency, of course, is always a little bit of a problem. But the Eagles are 3rd in points per game, 3rd in yards per game, 1st in third down efficiency, 1st in first downs per game, and 1st in time of possession. So Brian Johnson is actually doing a pretty solid job. Could he be doing better? Of course. Could the Eagles be better in the red zone as well? Of course. And while the Eagles haven't been great in the red zone, and they rank bottom half in the league, the Chicago Bears are 4th in red zone efficiency, but 19th in total offense and 17th in points per game. So it's a little bit of a give and take. And then lastly, with the Nick Sirianni portion of this, Nick Sirianni was the Eagles' head coach and play caller back in 2021. Eagles got off to a slow start. He gave up play calling duties to Shane Steichen. Shane Steichen started calling the plays. That's when the Eagles went on a roll, made the playoffs in year 1 of a rebuild, and then Shane Steichen, the offensive coordinator for this team last year. So I think that Sirianni has said that he prefers being a head coach because it allows him to see and think about the game a little bit more clearly. And Brian Johnson, slow start, Eagles offense getting a little bit better. I think his leash has lengthened a little bit. David Marcella coming in with the $5 super chat. Nolan Smith needs more playing time, and Dean needs to push his limits. I've been impressed by some of the things that Nakobe Dean has been able to do since coming back from injury, especially against the run. Really good job of sniffing out running plays. Against the pass, I think that Nakobe Dean could be a little bit better, and sometimes that's where him being undersized does hurt him a little bit. But I can't wait to see his development continue, hopefully. And then for Nolan Smith, he had that sack a couple of weeks ago. Nick Sirianni said he's not getting a lot of time, not because he's a bad player, but because the Eagles are so deep along that defensive line. And Sirianni did say, we love the player. He's flashed when he's been in there. He's made some special teams plays as well. But when you're playing on the defensive line that's as loaded as Philadelphia's, sometimes it's difficult to see the field, and it's just not been able to really carve out a role like Jalen Carter has. Matt Levinson, what is your prediction for the game on Sunday? I think Philadelphia wins by a final score of 26-23. I think it's a close game. I think it's a little bit more low scoring, and I think that it's a game in which the teams at the start feel each other out a little bit. They know each other well, so they know each other's tendencies, and it's going to be a heavyweight bout in which the Philadelphia Eagles come through with the victory late. That's my score prediction. Matt, you let me know yours, and then everybody watching right now, I want you to predict the score down in the comment section here. Eagles, Dallas, one of the best rivalries in all of sports. Next shift, are we going to see tight end Albert Okwuegbunam this week? And if he does well, maybe slide him into tight end number 2. So Grant Calcaterra, as of Wednesday, did not practice because of a concussion. If he can't play, maybe that's how we'll see Albert Okwuegbunam for the first time. Albert O, I covered him in high school, watched his career at Missouri, saw glimpses with the Denver Broncos. He just continued to fall down that Broncos tight end depth chart. He has all of the ability in the world, and for his size, he can move really, really well. I'm interested to see, for an organization that develops and grooms and nourishes tight ends like Philadelphia does, when was the last time they didn't have a good tight end, right? What they can do with a player like Albert Okwuegbunam, who can't really block, which is maybe why he doesn't see the field all that often, but he is a very, very solid pass catcher. Michael Gutierrez, did Jalen Carter practice this week, and is he in for Sunday? Jalen Carter was a full participant and not listed on the injury report on Wednesday. That's great news. Got taken out of that game against Washington with that back injury. X-rays, MRI, negative. So it is not a long-term injury, and the Eagles don't believe it's serious at all. He was kind of walking around the locker room pain-free, so that was a good indication after the Eagles got that dub against the Commies. Looks as though one of the best defensive linemen in the game, not just among rookies, is going to be able to play against the Cowboys on Sunday. As I mentioned off the top of the show, today's program presented by Manscaped. 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com/chat. This animation is obviously cool. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is what that animation is. It's incredible, and it'll take your balls to outer space. It's not a bird. It's not a plane. It's the most revolutionary ball trimmer the world has ever seen. Gentlemen, our friends over at Manscaped have been working night and day to bring you a below-the-waist grooming experience like none other with the brand new Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. We're talking about next-generation trimmer with interchangeable blade heads for whatever shave your mind can imagine. Artificial intelligence is cool, but I think this might be the biggest technological advancement the world has ever seen. Upgrade your grooming game to the Ultra Sphere this year by going to manscaped.com/chat for 20% off and free shipping. The 5th generation trimmer features 2 interchangeable next-gen skin-safe blade heads, a standard one for taking a little bit off the top, and a new foil blade to go smooth wherever your heart desires. So one more time, it's manscaped.com/chat. Code CHAT. Join the 9 million men who have purchased their products worldwide. Bob D, next up. Glad that Howie Roseman stood pat. This is the team. There was a lot of trade buzz around the Eagles going into deadline day. They were still busy. They traded for Kevin Byard. They traded away Contavious Street. They still made roster moves by signing a guy like Julio Jones. And at the end of the day, while they didn't make any moves to improve the roster, this is still a team that doesn't have a lot of weaknesses, and this is still a team that is 7-1. So Bob D, it is in fact the squad, and hopefully this is the squad that brings that second Lombardi trophy back to Philadelphia. Carol Hosey, how many times are we going to sack Dak? Sack, Dak, sack, Dak. Let's hope it's like 5 times. And let's hope, this is like that 44-6 game back in the day when Tony Romo was getting sacked. He looked flustered, he looked confused, and he got dominated by the Eagles' defense. So let's go 5 sacks, best case scenario. I'll take 3, though. Now, if you despise the Dallas Cowboys, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. I want you to also type F Dallas in the chat. That's been the motto all week. AS with another one. I'm disappointed we didn't get a vet nickel corner and linebacker. Your thoughts? Well, technically, they didn't trade for a vet nickel, but they picked one up. Bradley Roby played pretty well against the Los Angeles Rams after a short week of practice, and then he got injured shortly thereafter. I think the Eagles' thoughts are, once he comes back from that shoulder injury, that's going to be your vet nickel corner. Also, the play of Eli Ricks may have convinced Philadelphia to not make a trade for another nickel corner out there, like a Kenny Moore, who the Eagles were rumored to be interested in. And then linebacker. I want to see more from Nakobe Dean. I think that Zach Cunningham has played good ball. Nicholas Morrow played really well filling in for Nakobe Dean. So I think the Eagles kind of like their linebacking core there as well. Detarius Rhodes. Are the Eagles going to rush for 150 rushing yards? One of my prize picks for this week is DeAndre Swift going off a little bit. This is a Cowboys rushing defense that has struggled. San Francisco 49ers ran all over them back a few weeks ago, and I think that Philadelphia can do the same. Since Cam Jurgens went out in week 4, this Eagles rushing attack has really gone by the wayside, but I think it comes back with the vengeance at home at the Link. Faisal or Fazell Mack, hopefully I pronounce it right one of the 2 times. How much is Jalen Hurts' knee injury really bothering him? As far as him running the football and the Eagles' play calling and making him a runner, I think the Eagles are being very conservative. What's interesting is that it's being called a bone bruise in his knee. He hasn't been listed on the injury report. I think it's a little bit odd he's not answering questions about it. I'm not sure why. Maybe he doesn't want to give anything away competitive advantage-wise to the opponent. But the Eagles only called 2 design runs against the Commanders this past weekend. And when he does run, he's not as fast. Word is he's been dealing with this for about a month. And maybe that's why Jalen Hurts hasn't been able to run it all that much, but his passing numbers, very, very good. Bob D with another one. Should the Eagles play loose against the cow faces receivers? Cow faces. Look, I don't think that CD Lamb likes to get hit all that much. I don't think he likes to get roughed up by opposing defensive backs. I think that if you jam him at the line of scrimmage, he could be taken out of his rhythm. The threat in that is that if you miss on the jam, he could be gone because he's very quick, very athletic. So I think it's a little bit of a combination of both. Who you got? A great team between both of these squads, or a great game between both of these squads. PHI for the Eagles, DAL for the Dallas Cowboys. As always, thanks for all those great questions that came in from our subscribers on the show, and don't forget to subscribe.